impacts of hazardous substances on people. It's not duplication.
I'm going to call Andrew Bailey.
I move that the question be now put.
I'm going to call Meka Whaitiri. She's on the committee.
Mr Chair, where I left off, sir, clauses 38, 13 and 16 requires councils to invite iwi to engage in voluntary iwi participation arrangements or the mana whakahono a rohe and enhancing consultation requirements, sir. And we support the engagement of iwi on this side of the House, sir. We want to see the voices of iwi at the table to make these decisions. But, sir, in the departmental report on page 105, I want to express what's noted here by officials in that where it comes to these councils requiring iwi to engage, we have this point which sends a few alarm bells for myself, and that is if an iwi authority does not respond within a specified time frame, the local authority is not required to suspend the preparation of the policy statement or plan or any other part of the plan-making process as prescribed under Section 1 of the RMA. So, sir, tonight we've heard the gains that the Māori Party have achieved for our people, but that particular clause, as many of the submitters that came to the Select Committee, and I recall Tainui themselves came up and raised it in the Select Committee, and it was a question of resourcing. Who will resource iwi who do not have the capacity to participate as provided under this provision? Who would do it? The councils themselves, Local Government New Zealand, their submission feel that, well, this is a Crown obligation, so the Crown should resource it. This is a good question to the Minister. Can he tell the House, will he resource iwi who do not have the capacity to fulfil this obligation? Because that's what his party, the Māori Party, have said that they've gained for all Māori. Not just for some, for all. But the reality in his own departmental report actually counters that. Actually says if iwi are unable to meet the time framework of getting to the table, then the planning process will continue. And, sir, I believe that is a real concern in this bill. I want to go back and address what Marama Fox said about this side of the House supporting her SOP. And I'm glad my colleagues Megan Woods had clarified that we do support the reducing of the Minister's regulatory powers. But there is a concern about whether the Māori Party have been asked to swallow a rat, because we can't determine whether the crops, as per Marama Fox's SOP, includes pasture, includes forestry. And therefore, when the member spoke and read something from a piece of paper, I think it's incumbent on her to table what she read. Having something on a piece of paper that says includes this, but it's not in the SOP that she's tabling, Mr Chair, there's something fundamentally wrong. There's something fundamentally wrong, and she should be able to table what she is, because this is what we hear all the time from the Māori Party. We're onto it, we're doing it, we've written it, but we don't see the results. And that's where they'll be judged, sir, with their support of this contentious bill that nobody wants, And as a very hard-working MP, like a lot of my colleagues in our electorate, we know our organisations, we know Pure Hawke's Bay and the iwi that she has talked about, but we've also moved on. Iwi Māori have moved on. We've got very, very high number of representations on people in local councils, for example, sir. We have senior managers in a lot of council organisations. We are not living in the dark ages. Iwi are absolutely active. And so the point around the gains, I will say it again, as I said in my second speech, is the gain to me feels like it has been a rat that they've been asked to swallow. Why? To support and prop up a bill that is unpopular with so many people around this country, sir. And I've yet to hear the value that they have gained in relation to clauses 38, 13 and 16 of this bill to ensure those iwi who are unable to participate, will the Crown, will the Minister resource them to do so? Mr Speaker, I would welcome the Minister to respond to those questions that I've asked. I think they deserve a response. to ensure that the iwi that are watching have participated in this process, that their concerns have been taken on board when it comes to the issue of resourcing. Kia ora.
Stuart Smith.
Move that the question be now put.
Yes, members, we've had a point of order. Chris Farfwin.
That closed motion, but can I point out that the chair at the very outset of this debate noted that he expected it to be longer, and I note that it has gone on for some time. But I would ask that I've been in the House and there are three Māori caucus colleagues of mine who wish to make a contribution. I don't believe that they've been able to make a contribution, and this piece of legislation, as was said in the last contribution, does go to the iwi.
I thank the member. The debate has gone on for just under 4 hours, 3 hours, 57 minutes in fact, 46 calls. And what I've done is that those who have sought calls and have been on the committee have actually had calls. Some of them have had their full allocation of calls. And it's not for me to decide whether the House accepts the closure. That's for the committee of the House to decide, the committee of the whole. I'm going to accept Stuart Smith, and so I'm putting it, and then you can decide whether the debate continues in the committee. So the question is that the question be now put. Those of that opinion will say aye. Aye. To the contrary, no. Aye. The ayes have it. Party votes called for. Ask the clerk for a party vote.